This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Harbor Island migrant woes. The North Luther MP says the problem is worsening. The Chief Justice says the coroner's court is hampered. And Sam Bankman-Fried says that he didn't steal any funds. What he's saying now in a post on a blogging platform. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Friday, January 13th, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Stephen Hanna will be joining us. Also this morning, we've got a special guest. Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Thompson Sr. is going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about crime and police investigations. And he's going to stick around for Morning Blend Business. We're going to talk about Junkin, who's got a very unique perspective on how the parades, the festival, should run. So a lot to get to with Paul Thompson Sr. this morning. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, there are growing concerns about a worsening illegal migrant problem on Harbor Island, a small picturesque island in Eleuthera. North Luther MP Sylvanus Petty and Harbor Island Chief Councillor Terrence Davis saying that residents are becoming increasingly worried. Petty says the government knows about it and they have several plans that they're putting in place. He says hopefully they'll be taking some action because it is getting out of control. His words. Meanwhile, Chief Councillor Davis, who spoke with the Nassau Guardian in a separate interview, said new faces are popping up on Harbor Island frequently. He says, quote, if you walk around Harbor Island, you would see there are more and more new faces every day. He's worried that the island, which is approximately 3.5 miles long, will lose its charm and identity if the problem is not urgently addressed. Davis added that several weeks ago there was a law enforcement raid, but said his understanding is that it did not produce much and there's not been any focused attention on the problem. Harbor Island, which lies north of Eleuthera, is known for its expansive pink sand beaches and is popular with second home residents and visitors. Despite the numerous police-involved killings that have taken place over the past couple of years, the coroner's court has not been hearing inquests into those deaths. Chief Justice Ian Winder addressing the matter at the opening of the legal year on Wednesday, saying that the absence of a marshal to lead the evidence before the court is hampering its work. He says that while inquests other than police-involved deaths are being carried out, the court is unable to properly fulfill its mandate in respect to all deaths. He said discussions with the Director of Public Prosecutions had initially identified an officer to perform the function, but that option has since fallen through, and the search continues to locate a replacement marshal. Prime Minister Philip Davis is looking into claims that a group of Bahamian workers for a development company in Abaco has not been paid since September 2022. That's according to Press Secretary Clint Watson, who says that the workers can, quote, rest assured that the matter will now be investigated. He says the Prime Minister has been made aware of the issue and that he will intervene and ensure there is resolution. Watson said it's unclear how many workers are impacted or how much is owed. FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, who's on a $250 million bond and awaiting trial in New York on charges that he defrauded his customers out of billions of dollars, denying stealing customer funds. In a post on Substack, a blogging platform, he said, quote, I didn't steal funds and I certainly didn't stash billions away. Nearly all of my assets were and still are utilizable to backstop FTX customers. I have, for instance, offered to contribute nearly all of my personal shares in Robinhood to customers, or 100%, if the Chapter 11 team would honor my D&O legal expense indemnification. He said that FTX International and Alameda were both legitimately and independently profitable in 2021, each making billions. And back to Press Secretary Clint Watson, he says that the PLP has reimbursed the Treasury for its trip to Bermuda last year. During the weekly press briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister, Watson was asked if the party did this. He said that's fully behind us now. The Prime Minister and his delegation traveled aboard a Western Air chartered plane to Bermuda last October. Amid questions and controversy surrounding the political trip, the PLP later released a picture of a check in the amount of $24,750. OPM Director of Communications Trey Ramming said on that same date that the PLP paid for the trip, but at no point did he explain that OPM paid for it and had been or would be reimbursed by the party. And Watson also saying there's no timeline for the introduction of the marital rape bill or a bill that would allow Bahamian men and women to pass on citizenship in all circumstances. Last year, Attorney General Ryan Pinder said the government will bring legislation to deal with the citizenship issue. Pinder also shared a draft bill to criminalize marital rape with stakeholders and the Department of Gender Affairs. They held a one-day symposium last September to discuss the bill. When asked when the bill will be tabled in Parliament, Watson said, quote, no time frame yet. Speaking with the minister who is leading the initiative, Obi Wilshcombe, they want to complete the dialogue. The reason why there is no time frame on it is because they actually want to exhaust all avenues in addressing and looking at this proposed legislation. He says they have another meeting with the Baptist community. And following the one-day symposium last September, Reverend Lloyd Smith, the president of the Bahamas Baptist Convention, said a husband cannot rape a wife. Overseas, Germany will soon drop a mask mandate on long-distance trains and buses, one of the country's last remaining COVID restrictions. The health minister says the mandate will be dropped on February 2nd. Other European countries already have scrapped mask mandates in public transport. Germany's health ministry facing increasing pressure to follow suit in recent weeks. Masks remain mandatory in doctors' practices, while masks and negative tests are still required to enter hospitals and nursing homes. Rules for local transportation are a matter for Germany's 16 state governments, and an increasing number have dropped or are dropping their mask mandates. Some have also scrapped rules requiring infected people to isolate at home. And from Malawi, the worst cholera outbreak to affect the country in 2 decades has now claimed 750 lives, while the World Health Organization chief described the Southeast African country as among the hardest hit amid ongoing global epidemics that are more widespread and deadly than normal. Malawi's health minister on Thursday ordering the closure of many businesses that lack safe water, toilets, and hygienic refuse disposal facilities, and announcing restrictions on the sale of pre-cooked food. On Wednesday, the health minister said 17 people had died and from 589 new cases of the waterborne disease in the past 24 hours. She said the country had recorded 22,759 cases since the onset of the outbreak in March last year. In sports, Bahamian professional basketball player Giovanni Buddy Hield with the Indiana Pacers, scoring a season and team-high 31 points. This was on Wednesday night, but his squad dropped a 119-113 loss to the New York Knicks at the iconic Madison Square Garden in New York City. Hield played for 32 minutes, though, in this contest, and his efficient 13-point fourth quarter outburst was not enough, as the Pacers, who were down by 14 at the beginning of the fourth, kept chipping away at the lead, but ended up falling by 6. The loss drops the Pacers to 23-19 with their win-loss record and 7th in the Eastern Conference of the NBA. The Knicks moved up one spot ahead of the Pacers. They have an identical record, but the Knicks lead the season series 2-0 with 2 more to play. That's sports. And that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. Your first look at weather brought to you by the Strachan Challenge. High pressure over the islands will shift northeastwards ahead of a strong cold front that will move into the northwest Bahamas by late this afternoon or tonight, ushering in strong, gusty winds and cooler temperatures. Meanwhile, prefrontal shower activities affecting the central and southeastern islands through tonight. Beachgoers in the northwest Bahamas advised to remain out of the water, and boaters should remain in port by this afternoon due to strong gusty winds and rough seas. Residents should exercise caution this afternoon and through the weekend when traversing coastal roadways, especially the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama and the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera. We're expecting overtopping waves. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, partly sunny and breezy, gradually becoming partly cloudy to cloudy, very windy and cool, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms this afternoon as that cold front moves through. Some showers could be heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. For boaters, small craft cautions in effect this morning. Small craft advised to remain in port through this afternoon for the extreme northwest Bahamas, and an advisory will come into effect this afternoon for the remainder of the northwestern islands. Wind southwest to west at 15 to 20 knots this morning, shifting west to northwest and increasing to 20 to 25 knots with higher gusts this afternoon in the extreme northwest Bahamas. South to southwest at 10-15 knots, shifting southwest to west at 15 to 20 knots tonight over the remainder of the northwestern islands. Seas 4 to 6 feet, but building to 7 to 10 feet in the extreme northwest Bahamas, 2 to 4 feet, building to 5 to 8 feet for the remainder of the northwestern islands. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, variably cloudy to partly cloudy and a bit breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft advisory will come into effect tonight. Winds east to southeast, shifting southeast to south at 15 knots, shifting southwest to west at 15 to 20 knots tonight. Seas 3 to 5 feet, but building to 5 to 8 feet tonight. Temperature-wise, right now, Nassau, about 67 degrees. We're looking at highs getting up to around 81 Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius. What will the cold front mean for your weekend? We'll tell you about that coming up in your extended outlook. But this weather report brought to you by the Chickcharney Challenge. It's time again to claw through mud, wade through water, climb a rope, and vault the 9-foot wall in the Chickcharney Challenge, January 28th at Clifton Heritage Park. Sign up today at chickcharneychurin.com. It's time for break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9, your home for fresh news and smart talk all day.
Is your 2023 goal to move into your own home? Well, future homeowner, enjoy another payday. Build or buy a home with financing from CIBC First Caribbean, and you'll receive cash back every month for 1 year. A home is one of your greatest investments, so secure one soon. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/homeowners payday for more info. Offer valid from January 9 through to March 31, 2023. Terms and conditions apply.
What if I told you that the future is here? That is not some magical door we walk through, but a place we create. It's home. It's a place where you can download a 2-hour movie in seconds and stay connected to loved ones even when traveling far from home. Where internet moves at lightning speeds, smoother and more reliable than anything you've ever seen. This future-proof technology can take you to worlds that you can only imagine. The future is here. The future is home. The future is Alive Fiber.
Fidelity is concerned about your financial health as much as we're concerned about your physical health. We have free online banking, helpful management staff. Come and start your relationship today. Fidelity, we're good for you.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me now, Stephen Hanna. Stephen Hanna, good morning.
Morning.
You're wearing a mask again. What's happening? Yeah,
Oh,
you're
no.
back to. Is that? Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah,
What?
We got.
You don't like it?
Well, I mean, it muffles the the audio.
Does it? I
does.
think people hear me
No,
very well.
you sound bizarre. But okay. Anyway, we're back to this.
Actually, somebody was telling me that your microphone has too much bass in it.
Really? That's just how I sound. Anyway, this morning we've got a lot to get to this morning. There's a lot in the news, but we're looking forward to our interview this morning. Paul Thompson, Sr., the retired former Assistant Commissioner of Police. He writes us often and wonderful letters to Morning Blend because he listens. And he sent the two most recent ones are quite fascinating based on things we've talked about on the show. And so we're going to have him join us for a conversation this morning. In the first part, we're going to be talking about crime. I think this was one of the shows when we were talking about the police and their investigations and why we have so many cases that have to be thrown out. And I think somebody mentioned flimsy evidence. And lawyers have said it as well. Defense attorneys say it all the time. And this is why the cases get thrown out. This is why people deserve bail. And but he had some very interesting points in that. We're going to get to that. Then later, we're going to talk to him about Junkanoo. He has some very interesting views on how Junkanoo should be operating, how it should be managed. And we're going to get into that with him in business this morning. So we're looking forward to that conversation. But right now, let's talk about what else is in the news. And in the news, the big headline in the National Guardian involves Harbor Island. Harbor Island's migrant woes. A number of people, including the North Eleuthera MP, says the problem is worsening. I don't know if you saw a video last week with a resident there or someone there saying how all he's seeing is influx of people who are not from there.
I mean,
And
it's a very small island. I imagine that most people are not from there.
okay, but these are people who he was claiming probably don't have the right to be there or don't have a work permit or anything, but are working. And so now we are hearing from others who are saying, yep, it is a big problem and getting worse and out of control. We'll get to that in just a second. We talked about this quite a bit yesterday, but it makes you wonder what's going on here. But so the press briefing yesterday at the Office of the Prime Minister, Press Secretary Clint Watson was asked a number of questions, asked about the marital rape legislation and citizenship legislation, and he says that there is no timeline for the introduction of the marital rape bill or the bill that would allow for men and women to pass on citizenship in all circumstances. And this despite the fact that there was a draft bill for the criminalizing of marital rape that was put out there for people to
whom?
give their by the government.
This government?
Yes,
Okay.
Stephen. What, don't you remember this?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was
We
asking.
had whole shows on this. We
Okay.
had Mary and Bethel and other people were talking about it quite a bit.
I
And it was
wasn't
out
sure I
there
was
for
on.
public consultation and for people to give their feedback. And
What?
yeah.
When did this happen?
What's going on with you?
Which year was this?
Wow, last year, sir.
Okay.
I'm
I'm just saying I wasn't consulted.
okay. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
No, I'm not saying it didn't
but
happen.
it's out there, and you could read it and give your feedback.
Where can I get it?
Everybody. I'll send it.
Aha, Dwight. Aha.
What?
Nothing. That's it. That was my gotcha moment.
Okay, and so that's happening, and of course they've been meeting with the stakeholders, in quotation marks as stakeholders, okay. But this is the reason why there's no time frame, we're told by Watson. Quote, the reason why there is no time frame on it is because they actually want to exhaust all avenues in addressing and looking at the proposed legislation. This is he's talking about the Minister for Social Services. He did say that they have another meeting with the Baptist community. They've called and requested another meeting. That's expected to happen. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we talked about that yesterday. They're waiting for the Baptists to give them a date. I don't understand this. I don't understand it at all, but okay. Sure, fine. But that's where we are. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes sense.
Which part makes sense?
None.
Oh. Now, so you remember this, just to refresh your memory on why the Baptists clearly need someone to talk to them. Following the one-day symposium held last September, Reverend Lloyd Smith, he's the president of the Bahamas Baptist Convention, he said a husband cannot rape his wife. You remember these comments? Quote, if you roll over in the night and touch your wife, that should not be criminalized.
Oh, now I remember. Okay, so you know what happened? I blocked it out.
Yeah, I don't
Because
blame
he
you.
doesn't speak for me.
Mm-hmm. Watson continued, quote, that they, Wilsham and others, also want to meet with the Christian Council again to make sure that there is clarity on the proposed legislation. That hasn't happened as yet. Any other stakeholders that come forward and say, listen, we need to talk more about it. So that's why there is no framework attached to it, because instead of bringing the legislation and then having debates and disagreements, we've been doing that, they want to make sure they have buy-in from all parties involved in all sides. Have you done that with any law?
Well, see, I think that the thing with this is they don't want the same thing that happened with the last two referendums.
Doesn't matter.
No, I'm saying that's what they're trying to avoid.
It's not the same thing.
I know, because there's something with a referendum.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, not the marital rape one.
Tons of people say that marijuana should not be illegal.
Right.
You haven't any.
Yeah, but that's
consultation.
but that's already illegal. They don't have to make it illegal or make it legal.
Uh-huh.
So literally, if they do nothing, we just remain where we are.
I see.
Right. But now we're asking people to change something that isn't illegal to make it illegal. And their concern is that. Did you not listen to your old show yesterday?
No, I here's the thing. It is illegal. It just isn't illegal in marriage.
No. But
So that's
I want to say to you,
crazy stuff.
I'm going to say to you what, but that's the thing. We have to say exactly what the law says, and I feel like saying it like that to even give persons an inch to misunderstand is what God is where we are. Because what happened is clearly somebody went on all the talk show rounds and saying we don't need this. It already exists. I know it's probably one of those. I'm just going to say it, Dwight. I'm going to say what it is. It was one of those weirdo pretend that he's progressive pastors.
Don't do that.
I'm saying,
but let's get
they came and they said it very blah 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 blah, and then they said we don't need this. We already have this law, and everybody said okay, great. So the rest of this is just made up stuff that these fancy people are trying to trick us into or whatever, and that's not what's happening. It right now is not illegal. That's the end of the sentence.
in marriage.
No, but I'm saying if you say it like that,
Right, but it's important so that people can. Some people don't get it. We had a big argument with somebody yesterday who's saying.
No, but I'm saying
those
rape
things
in marriage is not illegal, right? That because it doesn't exist,
Yes,
right?
in this country.
that's the sentence.
Right.
In marriage, a husband cannot rape his wife.
In the Bible.
Full stop.
Yes.
A wife cannot rape her husband. Full stop. That's the end of the sentence.
Yes.
Now, if you rape somebody outside of marriage, that exists. So that's a different thing. But people are conflating the two and saying, oh, rape is illegal. But in the marriage, once it happens, like you were trying to explain to several callers yesterday, it happens. You go to the police, they're like, oh, there's nothing here. This is not technically this is not a crime. You need to come out of the house, remove yourself and separate.
Right.
And then if it happens again, it'll be illegal the second time. But there'll be no consequence for the first time.
Yes.
And so there's no impetus to not do it. There's no impetus to not use it as a weapon. There's no impetus for the person to feel any sort of remorse for when they do it.
Absolutely.
Because according to this, it doesn't exist. That is what is trying to be changed. And clearly, to have that conversation with somebody who has already made up their mind that you are trying to trick them into something else, it's taking years. Now, I kind of agree with the direction you're headed, which is do it and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? Just change the law. What are they going to say? They're going to all band together? They can't. I'm going to be honest, Dwight. This is going to hurt some people's feelings. They can't get people to come to church on Sunday. If they could weaponize the Bahamas to vote against you, to get you out of government, then they clearly have missed the calling on their life. Because they can't save souls, but they could turn voters against you. They have all that energy.
And what's the alternative? Because everybody, all the legitimate parties are in support of this. What are you going to do? Form a
which nobody will vote for.
Marital rape?
Yeah, the rape party.
Right.
The
Rape
rapist
party?
Well, I mean, that probably
Might
exists.
exist, yeah.
Probably exists.
But okay. But
and no one will vote for them as well.
Right.
All right? And my whole point is,
you might get one seat.
this is the government extending an olive branch in a situation where it is not necessary. Change the law. Let them complain about it for 6 months, and then notice how it doesn't impact the lives of all the macho men. Your life does not change if you are not a rapist.
Well, again, I mean, this is a bit much, but it would be nice to see this much consultation on several other types of legislation that they put forth. It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? If you can have so much say and
my argument
keep
is that
going through it and checking every sentence and word.
Yeah, but there probably is, and we just don't. Because like you said it's out there for public consultation, and I can see it if I want to. Except I don't know where it is. And I'm saying,
where it isn't, I'm sure, is the government website. I don't know if they've updated that
that's
in
my
more than a
point.
year. But
if you
but
really
some of
want-
us have drafts.
But I'm saying some of us, but you're in Dwight. You're in media, right? You having a draft of legislation is very different from the average person on the side of the road having it.
Yeah.
And I don't have it.
Well, it's in the papers. The papers.
Which paper? Newspaper?
Yeah, the newspapers put out most of it when it was put out there.
But
it is a challenge.
My
It
point
indeed
is,
a challenge.
if you want to educate people on something, right, and if you're serious about pushing something through or forward, the education campaign does not happen on one platform. Because every election time, you don't just put your ad inside the newspaper.
Yeah.
It's a whole machine, right? If you're trying to sell socks and corned beef, you don't put your ad in one location and then say that's enough. You have billboards, you have radio ads, you're all over online, you're on TV,
I
you
think
go on
you
every
get
show.
it.
But
They're
I'm saying,
not interested.
But I'm saying that's not happening,
Yeah.
and that needs to. And so, like the excuse is that they are doing public consultation, and this isn't just this administration. This is all government administration. They say we're doing public consultation, but what they really mean is we're talking to people who aren't elected officials that we know. You need to talk to everybody. And on an education,
Well, they've been talking to the people
No.
who've been making the most noise about it, against it.
Once again, you can't just talk to the people who are against it no matter what. You need to talk to the people who may be swayed. You need to educate everybody and say, this is what we are trying to do, and this is the means of which we're about to do it in the simplest terms. All right? The same way where if you get arrested, the police have to explain to you what you are being arrested for in a manner that you understand. All right? So if I say, well, talk to me like I grade 5, talk to me like I was a 4-year-old, they have to be able to explain to you why they're arresting you on that level. Explain to us marital rape, marijuana legislation, local government, all these different things on that level to me, right? On all platforms.
Yeah.
Every Bahamian should be a authority on these topics if it is actually being put into legislation.
Again, that's if they were to really care and want that to be the case.
I think that they do.
Nah.
And they just needed somebody to remind them that they have other avenues besides a quarter-page ad inside the newspaper.
Not even. All right, so this is a great question. I'm a private citizen. Where do I go to give my views on this topic? Is that publicly known? No, it's not.
And that's, once again,
No, it's not.
same thing.
I don't know, I guess.
Because there might be people who actually 100% support the draft legislation, but don't know that the draft legislation exists. They don't know where and who to talk to. But the people who don't like it, if you keep going to them, they feel very much important, and they feel super empowered to continue on their crusade of ignorance.
Requesting 2 and 3 meetings. All right, let's hear what you have to say about it. What do you think of it? 325-4316. 325-4316. 323-6232. 325-4259. You can tweet us or Facebook us or text us 422-4796. All right. So that's the latest with that. We will see what comes out of that. We'll keep you posted, of course, and see if I can find that legislation posted on our social media. Right?
To help out.
That's going to be a massive challenge.
But
hey,
Dwight, it shouldn't be a challenge.
Yeah, it shouldn't. We know that.
If it's possible for us to find it.
Okay, so the big headline, back to this. Harbor Island's migrant rules. Our Candia Dame's writing about it. There are growing concerns now about a worsening illegal migrant problem on the small, picturesque island of Harbor Island in Eleuthera, according to island officials. The North Eleuthera MP, Sylvanus Petty, and Harbor Island Chief Councillor Terrence Davis say residents are becoming increasingly worried. Petty says, quote, "We have a serious problem with migrants coming from the south. The government knows of it. We have several plans that we are putting in place. Hopefully soon we'll be taking some action because it is very troublesome and is getting out of control." The Chief Councillor Davis, who spoke with the National Guardian in a separate interview, said new faces are popping up on Harbor Island frequently. He said, quote, "I'm guessing that with what happened throughout the country and Harbor Island booming financially, a lot of persons migrated here. To be honest with you, if you walk around Harbor Island, you would see that there are more and more new faces every day." Davis is worried that the island, which is approximately 3.5 miles long, will lose its charm and identity if the problem is not urgently addressed. He said, quote, "This is a really grievous situation, and the residents in the community are really, really frustrated because it seems that everyone's kind of turning a blind eye to it." Davis said that though several weeks ago there was a law enforcement raid But his understanding is that it did not produce much, and there's not been any focused attention on the problem. Well, if it didn't produce much, what does that mean? That perhaps there aren't? They're unlawfully. But anyway, Harbor Island, which lies just to the northeast, unfortunately the paper says northwest, but anyway, northeast of Eleuthera, is known for its expansive pink sand beaches and is popular with second home residents and visitors. Concerns about illegal immigration were heightened this weekend when Peter Higgs, a longtime Harbor Island resident, filmed a bushy area which he identified as being on the island. The video, which was widely shared on social media, shows clothes strewn among the branches and items used for cooking and bathing in the area. There were also many buckets in the video. As Higgs makes his way through the bushes, he spots a man and asks, quote, "Boss man, what you do?" The individual darts from behind what appeared to be a living area, presumably to escape being filmed by Higgs. Higgs, in the video, who chuckles in apparent disbelief, said, quote, "Shacks in our bushes, and this is behind a big hotel. Check this out. Help us, Lord, help us. That's all I can say." Higgs told the Nassau Guardian yesterday that when he went to the site, he observed 4 men, 3 of whom ran off before he could record them. He saw shanty boxes, he said, 6x4 boxes with 4 men coming out of one box, and they had 4 boxes and lots of buckets. Wow. Okay, and there's a lot about this in the story, and as folks are saying, people seem to be turning a blind eye. What is your reaction to this? Let's hear you about this. 325-4316, 323-6232, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. And again, this is not new. People have been saying these things for a little while now, but what is happening? Nothing is being done. And obviously these folks aren't there just homeless. They're working. So
homeless doesn't mean unemployed, but okay. If they're living outside, they are homeless. Well, but they're not unemployed.
Well, they have little
shanty
homes,
right.
But sure.
Right.
They're not there. It seems they are working for somebody. So why not just go after the employers?
Right, because here's the thing. If somebody is saying to you, hey, every day you could show up here at 9 o'clock and stay here till 5 o'clock, and I'll give you money for that, then you have very much been invited. So a job is an invitation. If you have an issue with this, you need to go after the employers. Mm-hmm. That's as simple as it is for all these things. So it's like you can say whatever you want to say and get angry at workers, but at the end of the day, if Guardian was like, Dwight, don't show up here, that's a different situation. But they can't be mad at you for being inside here. It's like, why is Dwight sitting in a chair? Why is Dwight in air condition? Because that's my job. I was invited. I'm saying.
You're losing me.
All I'm saying is, if somebody wanted to get Dwight out of this chair that he's sitting in, you don't get mad at Dwight when Dwight was told to sit in this chair to do a job. You say, hey, person who owns the chair, why you keep inviting Dwight here? Because the listeners understand.
Okay. Let's get to your text messages. This is odd. Dwight, can you do a show on consumer protection? Please bring a representative in because I can't reach them. Don't even know where to go. Can you please help? Well, okay. Texter, they are on with us every month. We have a consumer voice segment with them every month. They're going to be here in a few weeks again. I'll say in a few minutes how you can get in contact with them. But yes, they're here all the time. Okay. Somebody's asking about where they do their business. Obviously, you just heard wherever in the bush. This person says here, maybe Harbor Island should take a page out of Long Island's book when it comes to deterrence of illegal migration. When was the last time we heard any complaints from Long Islanders? Just saying.
I don't. However you feel, the answer is never this implied violence that people like to bring up. Because it's weird. It's very weird, particularly when Anyway, no is the short answer. No is my response to that.
This person says, this is back to the marital rape thing. This person says the rape thing is like living at the bottom of a high hill, trying to drive over. As soon as you reach the top, the car stalls and rolls back on your foot. And
are you driving or are you pushing it?
I don't understand.
No, I think they're saying every time they try to pass the legislation, like the uphill battle that it is. Sisyphus? Is Sisyphus a better example?
Okay. The text here says there's a group of Bahamians there's a group Bahamas for Bahamians has been agitating for the government to do something about this migrant problem. Nothing substantial has been done to curb the issue. We must prosecute both employers and the undocumented folks. That's the bottom line. We cannot continue to sit on this issue. Undocumented migrants are coming in numbers on all the islands.
In numbers? What does that mean? Everything's a number.
Well, you know what they mean.
No, I don't. That's why I said, what do they mean?
This one says the PLP will do nothing about the migration issue, and we will not do anything about that. The MPs and the PMs continue to get paid to ignore these issues. What? Then we give them pensions for life and wonder why NIB is broke. When will somebody in government do their job? Even the F&M is useless and silent. I told you a few months back, Dwight, that the former MPs and PMs that know how to fix things sit silent, and sit silent are the root of the problem.
Not okay. What?
Dwight, you all do realize that if no one hires them, they will resort to criminal activities instead to survive. The government and immigration needs to deal with them, and if they don't, they need to quit or be fired.
I don't know. I don't realize that if persons don't have any jobs, that they automatically resort to crime and violence. Especially if you're an economic refugee, then is that what economic migrant? What's the term? Anyway, if you're fleeing for economic reasons, then you will continue to move until you find someplace better. So I don't know it to be like people's automatic response is, oh, you won't give me a job, so I'm going to burn this place down.
Especially if they believe the place is serious about crime and that it wouldn't make any sense for them to commit crime. But if they felt that, they would say, I better get out of here.
But Dwight, how hard is it to get a job in New Providence? It's like the place would be on fire. The place would have been on fire. All right? That's a ridiculous thing to surmise. All right? And so don't come with that. And so you're saying that the persons who are paying these migrant workers obviously less than what they're paying a Bahamian to do it, or a registered person or documented person to do it. They're doing it out of the goodness of their heart to prevent complete and total anarchy, and not out of greed. I do not believe.
Okay, here's another text before we take a break. Oh boy. Okay, so I have to say it on the air again. I'm gonna have to call them out. So now our one working line isn't working. The one line that we had. So I really don't know what is going on with BTC. I really don't understand this. This is a complete and total collapse.
Sound like the minister.
Well, I mean, he's right. This is complete madness. Wow. Okay, folks. Well, text us. As
long as that remains.
Yeah,
you might have to write us email. What's the email, Dwight? Just say it at this rate.
You seem to think I have time to waste. This person says here, morning, rape is rape. Marriage is embodied in the Bible. For this reason, a man shall leave. There are times when sexual intercourse cannot take place. The reason women I don't know what this word is. Desire is all in all the letters and words came into one. Desire sexual intercourse is different as to why men need sexual intercourse. Are we considering men's health when we speak of marital rape? Is there regulation against sweethearting? There isn't. So stop. If that's what you want to do, go do it. That's dumb. Don't rape people. Go do it. Make a fool of yourself. Whatever. Get divorced. What is the issue? Don't rape people.
The problem is these people are still trying to work out philosophically what they believe, and they're taking this as an opportunity to do so.
Oh, boy. Okay. Let's take a break. It is Friday the 13th. Yes, indeed. It's clear. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
And I don't like say nobody gonna spend my money when I go to my grave. Yes, I's a Bahamian. Don't wanna make no fuss. But if you we know, but outside tell them you we one of us. Like Andrews grabbing though. Don't act like you don't know, you know. And you know. Oh, how Bahamian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Oh, don't you know? And you know. Yes, how Bahamian go. How they go, how they go, how they go. Let's go. So proud to be Bahamian. Yes, man, no I can you know. How Bahamian go now. Watch this.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
It is time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialists can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. And in your real-time traffic this morning, as usual, your hotspot is Mile Butler Highway. Heavy traffic from Fire Trail Road all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway. That's in northbound lanes there. Gladstone Road is also going to be busy for you northbound, just north of Fire Trail. Building traffic on Carmichael in a number of spots, westbound to Coral Harbor Road and eastbound to Blue Hill Road. Blue Hill's busy for you from St. Vincent up to about the roundabout with Independence Drive, especially north of Soldier Road. Independence Drive backed up as well, westbound to that roundabout with Blue Hill Road. East Street's going to be seeing some congestion, especially around the intersection with Soldier Road and northbound on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive and East-West Highway. And we have Prince Charles Drive, a number of spots near Elizabeth Estates and Beatrice Avenue, and then into Robinson Road between Soldier and Old Trail. And pockets along Bernard Road, westbound, especially near the schools in the island, in that area, and Eastern Road just west of Fox Hill to about Johnson Road. Seeing some heavy traffic on the Sydney-Poitiers Bridge, northbound to, of course, to Paradise Island at this hour as well. That is your first look at traffic this morning. We'll have another update for you after the 8 o'clock news. But this update brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home, or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique, and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
And time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by John West Shoes. High pressure over the islands will shift northeastwards ahead of a strong cold front that's going to move into the northwest Bahamas by late this afternoon into tonight. That's going to usher in some strong gusty winds and cooler temperatures. Meanwhile, prefrontal shower activity is affecting the central and southeastern islands. It's a lot going on, but here is what you can expect today for the northwest Bahamas. Partly sunny and breezy conditions, gradually becoming partly cloudy to cloudy, very windy and cool, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. Some showers could become heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. For boater, smallcraft caution is in effect this morning, and smallcraft advised to remain in port through this afternoon for the extreme northwest Bahamas. An advisory will come into effect this afternoon for the remainder of the northwestern islands. For the central southeast Bahamas, variably cloudy to partly cloudy and a bit breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Smallcraft advisory will come into effect tonight. Temperatures getting up to around 81 Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius. That's ahead of the front. Things will cool down beginning tonight. Lows around 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius. In your extended outlook, as we head into the weekend, that strong cold front will continue to move through to the central and southeastern islands. As high pressure builds behind the front, strong winds and gusty winds near to gale force and cooler temperatures will blanket all of the islands through Sunday. Expect hazardous boating and beaching conditions, and smallcraft advised to remain in port and beachgoers to stay out of the water over the weekend. So for Saturday tomorrow, the coolest day, variably cloudy, cool, and very windy with isolated showers and thunderstorms mainly ahead and along the frontal boundary. Sunday, variably cloudy, cool, and windy still. We're expecting temperatures to barely get into the 70s Saturday and low 70s on Sunday, and even in the 50s at night on Saturday. That's your morning blend weather check, brought to you by John West Shoes. Nassau John West is here to put shoes on your feet. They've got your family's feet covered for every occasion. Check out the variety of women's sandals and slippers, heels and working shoes, men's sneakers and safety boots. And kids, don't forget the boat shoes for boys, girls' sandals, and school shoes. John West Shoes now open in the Carmichael City Shopping Center behind Wendy's. Give them a call, 820-9715. Let John West put shoes on your feet.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Is your 2023 goal to move into your own home? Well, future homeowner, enjoy another payday. Build or buy a home with financing from CIBC First Caribbean, and you'll receive cash back every month for 1 year. A home is one of your greatest investments, so secure one soon. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/homeowners payday for more info. Offer valid from January 9 through to March 31, 2023. Terms and conditions apply.
Girl, Junior just showed me Bella Boy in his phone.
What you mean? He take picture of that good-for-nothing boy?
Shh, you don't want Bella here. You say that. You know she always say that's my good child.
So what he doing in Junior phone?
Oh, he there because the police looking for him. He on their wanted list.
Wanted persons in your phone now?
Yes, child. And when police want to find anybody quick, after something happen, they can send pictures direct to your phone. Go to Google Play or App Store and search for Crack Crime Bahamas. Then pick install and it will go straight to your phone.
There is also a section on missing persons.
Yes, girl. Everybody needs to get this app so police can tell us right away when these people go missing. Just like an alert system.
Yes, it has numbers for Crime Stoppers Bahamas, so you can call and nobody knows it's you. Call directly to Miami and give the information without giving your name or anything about you. I tried the other day, and when I hear Junior and his boys talking about where they hide those guns, I walk quick round the corner and call that number.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
Bank with Fidelity, it's good for you and me. It means a lot to own a lot in paradise. We have beautiful islands for you to choose. Come and get advice to live in paradise. Lot loans with Fidelity, we're good for you.
KB and Sting, coming with the Bohemian team. Come on, woo!
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. And now at 8:23, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. There's a lot happening, folks, and I'm going to need to pay attention as we head into the weekend. So, high pressure is currently over the islands, and that's going to shift northeastwards ahead of a strong cold front. We've been telling you about this for the past few days. The strong cold front will likely bring some of the coolest temperatures we've seen in a while. And that's going to move into the northwest Bahamas by late this afternoon or tonight, and that will usher in strong, gusty winds and cooler temperatures. Meanwhile, prefrontal shower activity is affecting the central and southeastern islands through tonight. So, there's a number of special warnings as a result of this. Beachgoers in the northwest Bahamas are advised to remain out of the water, and boaters should remain in port by this afternoon due to the strong gusty winds and rough seas. And residents should exercise caution this afternoon and through the weekend when traveling along coastal roads, especially the Fishing Hole Road in Grand Bahama and the Glass Window Bridge in Eleuthera, as we're expecting overtopping waves. For today, for the northwest Bahamas, partly sunny and breezy, gradually becoming partly cloudy to cloudy, very windy and cool, with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms this afternoon. Some showers could become heavy and thunderstorms strong to severe at times. Small craft caution for boaters in effect this morning, and small craft again advised to remain in port through this afternoon for the extreme northwest Bahamas. An advisory will come into effect this afternoon for the remainder of the northwestern islands. For the central and southeast Bahamas today, variably cloudy to partly cloudy and a bit breezy with scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms through tonight. Small craft advisory will come into effect tonight. Temperatures today, the high is expected around 81 Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius. That's ahead of the front, but the cooler temperatures will come in by this evening. We're expecting lows around 61 Fahrenheit, 16 Celsius for New Providence, probably in the 50s for Grand Bahama and Abaco. In your extended outlook, that cold front will continue to move through the central and southeastern islands as high pressure builds behind the front, and strong winds and gusty winds to gale force strength and cooler temperatures will blanket all of the islands through Sunday. Expect hazardous boating and beaching conditions, and small craft are being advised to remain in port, and beachgoers stay out of the water for the entire weekend. So for tomorrow, Saturday, the coolest day that we will see, we're looking at variably cloudy, cool, and very windy conditions with isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly ahead and along the frontal boundary. Sunday, variably cloudy, cool, and windy. Temperatures struggling to get into the low 70s for highs, and lows at night in the upper 50s, especially Saturday, and low 60s come Sunday, before gradually beginning the warming trend from Monday through to the middle of the week. But that is your morning blend weather check. Weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Visit firstonlineinsurance.com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years as the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And we've got another check of your traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. RBC's mortgage specialists can provide helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. In your real-time traffic this morning, Milo Butler Highway, seeing some heavy traffic from well south of the Fire Trail roundabout in the northbound lanes all the way up to Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway roundabout. And Fire Trail is congested as well, eastbound and westbound to that roundabout this morning. Seeing some spillover traffic on Faith Avenue, especially northbound, heading toward Fire Trail at this hour. So keep that in mind if you are there. Gladstone Road is going to be a busy alternate route for you from Fire Trail all the way up to JFK Drive. And the Carmichael eastbound to Blue Hill is congested, especially the closer you get to Blue Hill. And from Blue Hill straight up to the roundabout with Independence Drive in the northbound lanes, you're going to be seeing heavy traffic there. And even further south near St. Vincent Road. Other hot spots for you, Eastern Road, just east of Fox Hill, westbound to Johnson Road, and pockets along Prince Charles Drive, especially as you get close to Robinson Road, Robinson between Soldier and Old Trail. And Bernard Road, westbound, Soldier Road, northbound, heading toward the intersection with Village, Wolf, and Bernard, and Marathon Road also seeing some heavy traffic, mainly northbound at this hour. Those are your hot spots. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert, brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home, or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique, and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
Click and pay merchant service by Fidelity. Accepted credit and debit card, that's the way it should be. Mobile in fixed terminal and online banking too. E-commerce and pay button is waiting for you. Fidelity. We good for you.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Stand! Oh yeah! Stand! Stand! Let's go! Stand! You do the crime, you must do the time. Stand! KB and Sting say so. Stand!
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. And this morning we are very honored. This is, looking forward to this, going to be a great discussion. We've got a special guest with us this morning, Paul Thompson Sr., a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police. And he writes us often. And just wondering, do you type these yourself or
Yeah.
you do? Wow. So he sends us typewritten letters often based on things he's heard on the show. And we're very honored that you are here.
Yeah.
We've read a couple of them before on the show. But the last two really got my attention based on some things you heard on the show. And I said, we've got to have you on to
Yeah.
talk about it. So we're going to do the Junkanoo issue a little bit later.
Yeah.
But let's begin with the crime topic. And you wrote this. And because you heard us talking about this a few weeks ago, and it came up, and it was a view of some of the callers and a few. I can't remember who was the co-host that day, but we were saying it based on what lawyers have told us. Defense attorneys tell us that cases are often thrown out because the police are using flimsy evidence, and I'm putting that in quotation marks. So the evidence is so weak, and that's why it's so easy for the case to be thrown out. But you took some issue with that,
Yeah.
and let's talk about it.
Yeah, as I stated, I spent 25 years in the Criminal Investigation Department. I went there as a constable and left as Assistant Commissioner.
Right.
During that time, I had 25 commendation and awards from as far as the FBI directors, the Prime Minister of Britain, Sir Lyndon Pinlan, and judges and jurors, plus commissioners of police. And what happens is we would get a complaint, and we'll investigate the complaint, and the senior persons in the Criminal Investigation Department will decide on if there is sufficient evidence to go to court. Sometimes we may think of it as what we call a borderline case, where it could go either way. But we are satisfied from our investigations that we have the right person. But then you have to go to court and satisfy a jurors. You see, and that is where, we live in a country where we have democracy, we have jury, and it, as far as the jurors are concerned, it may not. But what happens between then, and a lot of people doesn't know this, most cases that we investigate went to the AG office.
Right.
The file would go there. They would look at it. They can say no prosecution, or they may say go ahead. Now, rape is one of those crimes that you have some difficulty, because sometimes it's just a matter of consent or no consent.
Right.
So you have the female saying no consent, the male saying consent. So you, the police, don't decide that. You go to court with it.
Right.
Let the court decide it.
Sure.
And this is what happens. And then one of the problems now with the police that we didn't have is the length of time it takes to get a case to court. Because you have a witness who, in a matter of a few days, you take in a statement and remember all the details, what they saw, give the description. 3 years later, when that case hit the court and the defense attorney start questioning the witness, the witness may not remember small details like which hand the gun was in. You see, what was the color of the mask and that type of thing. They may not remember. So the attorney would then become an actor, because now he's playing to the jury.
Right.
because the witness can't remember, and he turns to the jury and he looking at them and pointing out these things.
Right.
And so you get an acquittal.
Yep. Okay, so that's very important. But what about the length of time of the investigation? Like, we will hear of something happening on Saturday night, and then by Tuesday, somebody's brought before the courts and charged. Is that enough time to really conduct an investigation to say that this is definitely the person, we think this is the person who did this?
It depends on the crime, and it depends on the evidence you have.
Mm-hmm.
For example, somebody steal a car, and you find the person in the car.
Right.
You need
that one's
much-
easy. Right.
That's easy.
Yeah.
You find a man on the street with a gun. That's easy. Where you have, like say, an armed robbery, then you're investigating an armed robbery. You're looking for evidence of people who may have seen the person, or you're looking for evidence of something that the person may have gotten from the scene of the crime that you may find he's picked up for something else, and you find it on him, and this happens pretty often. So it depends really on the crime and how quick you get the information.
Yeah. Now, with the processes that you outlined, I'm sure it's still happening, but do you think the care and attention is there, especially with the frequency, the number of crimes we have now? Do you think the members of the force are paying as close attention to the way you probably did it back in the day?
Well, with us it was easier because we didn't have this volume.
Right.
And we had a large number of senior officers who were experienced. And many of them just sat in the office, read files, and gave directions.
Oh, wow.
When I was there, this is what I did. And we had people like Ormond Briggs and Douglas Hanna and these people who were able to give directions to the younger officers on things that they should be doing with the investigation. And if there's something missing, then you would go back. For example, I recall a case where a young girl was grabbed on the street and taken to a man's home, and she was held there forcefully overnight and raped. The instrument he used to put her in the car, the young officers who went to search his house didn't find it. And the girl eventually told us that he had pushed it under the mattress. Apparently they didn't search under the mattress. So we sent them back. And this is where you have the sergeants, the inspectors, looking at the files and giving directions.
Yeah.
I worked with a man named Stanley Moyer, who was superintendent CID. And he was a great teacher, because everything that happened in those years in the CID, he had to see the files of what was going on. He had the pile of files, all the crimes, and he would put directions. And that we learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
I remember doing a big stealing case from Betta Robertson, quite a few $1,000 they were embezzling.
Wow.
And when I thought I was finished with investigation and I took the file to Moyer, he gave me 2 pages of things that I didn't do. And when I looked at it, I realized the importance of it. So this is where, but mind you, we have a police force that they're a bit overwhelmed now.
Right.
With a lot of complaints and a lot of crime.
And people they keep saying they want to see the inspectors and the older officers on the street. They want to see them, but we need them behind the scenes, making sure that that stuff is really being examined entirely.
Yeah, well, we have a commissioner of police who was an excellent CID officer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was a great loss when they moved him from CID because he was an investigator and he went out, even at his high rank, he went out and helped conduct investigations. Now, over the years that I was in the force, I've always found that our better commissioners of police were people who went through the criminal investigation department.
They were detectives, yeah.
You know, because they were exposed to the atrocities of crime, and they knew the challenge to find these people. Because in the CID, the officer investigating crime, to him it should be a challenge to be able to expose the person who have committed the crime. You in the CID, when you go to the scene of, say, a murder, and you hear the crying and the weeping and so on, it really gets to you.
I'm sure.
And it dawns on you that your job is to find who did this.
Yeah.
And this is what you have instilled in CID officers. You may go there first few weeks, you find yourself at leisure, but when you start getting into the work itself, you realize the importance of your job.
Yeah, lives are hanging in the balance.
Yeah, we had many of our commissioners. Selatel Thompson, he was in CID for many years, and we had Greenslade was there for a short time. But I found that the CID commissioner was committed, more committed to crime than the uniform commissioner.
Yeah. All right, so all these things you're saying makes, and we're getting some messages about it as well. I mean, we hear so many officers who, they leave the force after a few years, and that it just seems to be a stepping stone to something else, to maybe becoming a lawyer or to doing something else. And that the career police officer, somebody who wants to be there and retire as a member of the Royal Bahamas Police Force, we don't have as many of those dedicated folks anymore. What impact do you think that's having on the force and on our crime-fighting abilities?
You mean
not having that dedication that we used to have when you were there?
Well, I know for a fact, and I've seen it, I've felt it, that there's that dedication in the criminal investigation department. I don't know, but I can't talk about uniform branches because I commit myself even in my retirement. I communicate with the criminal investigation department all the time. When I see in the newspaper murder solved, armed robbery solved, I make sure I send a communication congratulating them because I knew when I was there how good it was to hear from the public the praise you were getting for the work you're doing. It drives you to do better.
Yeah.
And I've always been attached. You see, I didn't spend much time in uniform branch. When I passed out, that was in 1951. Wow. I was in the uniform branch just for about 4 months.
Oh boy.
And they had me doing some the numbers racket. And somebody told them how good I was doing investigations. And they recommended me to CID. So I went to CID from the 1st of June in 1952. And I was there until 1970.
My goodness.
And then I went back there. But When I went to CID, the very first time I went to a murder scene, tears came to my eyes. Wow. And I committed myself to, it was a challenge for me when they handed me a file to solve that crime. That used to be a challenge. What helped a lot during my career was the sources I was able to develop. I didn't call these people informants or what you call
snitches.
No, they were my sources.
Sources, okay.
And some of them were very prominent people who trusted me. They would give me information and know that the secret remains between us. For example, the Prime Minister's father, Brave Davis, the old man.
Yeah, he was a source?
A big source.
Oh, boy.
And he was a big support to me in the police force. He was a really law-abiding citizen. Anything happened in this country and he got information, I will get it. I will get it because he knew that nobody, not even my boss, could find out where it came from.
Do you think we have that relationship today with the officers, with the detectives?
Well, I don't know, but they must develop that. They must develop.
How do you develop it? How do you get people to trust you like that?
Well, in my time, it was because I helped people with little things like, somebody wanted a police record or something like that. They would call me, I'll help them to get it. And then I had a very friendly disposition, and I was in sports. Now, the sporting side of it helped me a lot because I played cricket, and a lot of cricket supporters became my fans.
Right. And cricket was bigger back then.
I developed a friendship with them.
Yeah.
And then I looked to ex-policemen. Take the late Audley Kemp. He was an ex-policeman. Audley Kemp had a bar. And in that bar, you would hear people talking about things that the police should know about.
Right.
So Audley Kemp became one of my sources.
Wow.
Imagine Percy Munnings, who run Numbers Racket. I never bothered with his numbers people because it was important to me, he as a source, because he was also a law-abiding citizen, and any criminal activity that he knew about, I will know. You see, and this is how you develop. Let me give you an incident where a source helped me with a murder case that we were having difficulty solving. There was a woman who was murdered in Whale Point, Eleuthera. She was a Hawaiian-American, beautiful woman. She was married to the man who was in charge of a project at Whale Point that was being done by the Oaks family.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And they sent me up there with a team to investigate the murder because the husband was in the States and the maid went the morning and met her, and the maid passed out. They had to take her to the clinic. Wow. Anyway, we got there, and for days, we weren't getting anywhere. We even had the FBI check out the record of travel for the husband because we were looking everywhere to find what happened. The woman, it was really a nasty scene. Her throat was cut from ear to ear.
Oh, gosh.
The blood coagulated, covering her face. And she was raped after that.
Oh, boy.
So when the pathologists who went with us told us that she was raped after death, I told my colleagues, Lawrence Major, Ed Fields, and those guys, I told them, I said, this is no Bahamian.
Yeah?
I told him, I said, no Bahamian man gonna rape a woman after that. So we started making inquiries and we weren't getting anywhere. They had a cafeteria, and this is where your sources, you develop your sources and they help you. I was sitting in the cafeteria and an elderly woman from Nassau who was working in the kitchen there, she was doing me like this with her finger, calling me and telling me to go around to the back door. I went round to the back door. And her information was that there's a white American man who comes in there to dine. And while he's seated there, she watch him. He cannot take his eyes off that woman. Oh, wow. The woman used to be an usher in the dining room, you see. She said anywhere that woman went, his eyes would be following her. So she thought that something was wrong with her.
Right.
And we decided to check it in. And that was it.
Yeah?
That was it.
And you didn't have DNA back then and all that stuff. So
we found what happened is his clothing had a lot of blood.
Oh.
And the place was plenty blood. But he went in the bathroom probably to wash his clothing off. And he left a side of socks in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So that side of socks became evidence. And when we went to his house, the first place Fields went was to the clothes.
Yeah.
We didn't find that socks side, but we found socks that smell as bad as that one.
Right.
And we realized we were on the right track.
Yeah.
And it turned out that he had worked with this woman on a tourist ship. And he told us he always admired her and was in love with her. But the man had escaped from a mental institution in the States and came to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So he had this mental thing, and he was found guilty, but they didn't hang him. In those days, they used to hang you for murder now.
Right.
Because the family brought in a doctor who talked about the mental side. So he was sentenced to life imprisonment, and the American government took him back to the States.
Really? Wow.
But your sources are important.
Yeah, yeah.
And detectives try. You have to develop sources.
All right, we need to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about the volume that we mentioned earlier. What impact do you think that's having on the detectives, especially?
Yeah.
And whether you think everybody here, including detectives, are desensitized now to crime. Where you said you cried at your first crime scene. You think that could happen today? I don't know. We'll see. We'll come back. We're talking with Paul Thompson Sr., having a great conversation here on Morning Blend. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Boy, then why they lock away? Don't mind what your friends say, boy. Crime doesn't pay. Listen, prison only look good from the outside, but when you behind bars, boy, now that's a different vibe.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Oh, wow! What's that under the Christmas tree? Up to $1,000 cash back for you and me? 10 lucky customers get a chance to win up to $1,000 cash back this Christmas just for spending $60 and over with their Scotiabank credit card in-store or online. That's up to $1,000 cash back to spend on gifts, gas, groceries, and more this Christmas. Visit bs.scotiabank.com for more information. Promotion ends January 28, 2023. Conditions apply.
Florida Auto Parts can deliver all the auto parts your car will ever need, direct from the USA and from around the world. Florida Auto Parts provides fast delivery on auto parts, and we ship throughout the Bahamas, genuine or aftermarket, new or used, and all for the best price. Call Florida Auto Parts Trusted Parts Rep on WhatsApp at 1-786-772-8777 to save on your next auto parts purchase. Florida Auto Parts, the right parts at the right price.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Stand! Oh yeah! Stand! Stand! Let's go! Stand! Do the crime! Stand!
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna. Our special guest this morning, Paul Thompson Sr. He's a former Assistant Commissioner of Police. And he calls in often, and we love having him here as a guest. How old are you now, Mr. Thompson?
I'll be 96 in July.
My goodness.
19th of July. I've been here since 1951.
96 this year.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
What I see happening, the police is doing remarkable work recovering guns. I mean, you can understand a 15-year-old boy having an AK-47. An AK-47 is a war gun. It's being used in wars. It fires 600 rounds per minute. A little boy, 15-year-old, having one of those. Now, what I have been pushing with some of my former colleagues is I cannot understand why we cannot get to the source of how these guns are coming in. Who is bringing them in and purchasing them?
What do you think is happening? You think it's a one-off thing here and there, or you think there's like an organized?
No, I think it's organized.
Really?
Because, I mean, some of the young people who have these guns must be going somebody. I understand you can rent a gun or you could buy a gun. That's what my sources are telling me. The ships that come in, and I wrote about this before, because I write often. If you were going to Miami on a cruise ship, when you started nearing Florida, you see some little boats. That's the police, drug enforcement. You don't throw anything overboard that anybody could collect. I have been suggesting that we do the same here. Because if you're coming in with guns, like on a crew member on a boat, and you have some guns, you put it in a floating device and throw it overboard. A jet ski runner could pick it up. That would be one way of smuggling. We have also the boats with illegal immigrants coming in from Haiti. And my sources tell me that is an area where guns are coming in. Plus you have the Bahamian in the United States who buying guns and getting them there, getting them here. It is something that we have to tackle head on. And to do it, I believe you have to come up with money for rewards. The private sector and the government should come up and put not $100, put up money for rewards. Let us find the sources, how these guns are coming in. When we find them, there should be no other penalty but imprisonment.
All right, so rewards for what? Information or rewards for people to turn in their guns?
Information leading to the arrest and conviction of persons, and we're particularly concerned with the people who bringing in guns.
Now, why do you think anyone will take you up on that offer, though? I mean, people are in there, everyone's acting like we need to have protection because it's so dangerous.
You'll be
That's what people are
surprised
saying.
how if somebody is offered $1,000, $2,000, you will get information.
Won't they just use that to buy more
Yeah,
guns?
they will talk. They'll talk about it. They'll tell you who have guns.
And then buy more guns,
They'll
no?
tell you where to go and get guns.
Yeah.
You see? We need to spend some money to fight the crime.
Yeah.
We need to spend some money to fight the crime.
Okay, so I say this all the time, that yes, we need to tackle the gun issue. Absolutely. But if you do and you finally get it under control, well, then they'll just start stabbing people. And
Yeah, but you stab less people than you can shoot.
Well,
because we're not getting to the root of the crime problem, the violence in our people.
95% of the murders committed are with guns. You see, and I hear people blaming the police on murders. You cannot. I went to FBI Academy. Well, I didn't go to the academy. I went to seminars. I went to the Scottish Police College. I went to West Riding Detective Training School. I went to Interpol in France. And all those people tell you murder is not a preventable crime.
Right.
And they say that because the murderer knows his target.
Yes.
He knows why. He knows when he's going to do it, where he's going to do it. And he's going to pick the place where he can do it.
He'll find a way.
Yeah. So if you're going to, if you know you're a target, and some of the people that are being killed knows that they're targets.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They stole the man drugs, or they fooling with the drug baron woman, or they were in a gang, they kill somebody, they're out on bail. You become a target. Look how many of them getting killed.
Yeah.
You see? And it is, they know they're targets, but they make themselves a available target by, and then they endanger you because you might be in a domino game, you don't know who is around you. And when these criminals come to shoot, and we have some vicious people, when they come to shoot, they're not shooting at the person, they're shooting at the crowd to get that one person.
Yeah.
So if you are there, you're likely to get killed. And this is, we have to do something, and it has to be a joint effort between the government. We have to put up money in the United States as well. The ATF people are helping us. But we have people in the United States who are exporting guns to the Bahamas. I had a case that I wrote the commissioner about, and I mentioned that the two constables, and they were young constables, should be highly commended. A Bahamian in Florida shipped a dozen revolvers with, I think it was 1,000 or so rounds of ammunition. He shipped it to Cat Key. The man in Cat Key, who was in security, was an ex-police sergeant. He received the package. Now, being in security at Cat Key, customs didn't bother him. A package come for your man who is a security man. Customs never bothered him. He then put it on the mailboat from Cat Key to Nassau. Now, ain't nobody to search goods coming in on the mailboat, right? The two officers were in a patrol car, and they had gone, the boat had docked at Arawaki, and they had gone out in the patrol car, just circling Arawaki to see what's happening. And they saw this truck leaving the boat, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning. So they were concerned, why is a truck leaving the boat 2 o'clock in the morning? So the two constables, they were youngsters. They stopped the truck, man and woman in the truck. And when they searched the truck, they found the guns and the ammunition.
Right.
And I wrote the commissioner, I told him, I said, these youngsters should be highly commended. Because I know what it is when you do good police work.
Yeah. Do they do that? Do they?
Get a
Because we see that in the States, in the papers, on the news, you see them getting awards and commendations. Do we do that here?
Publicly?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we do it.
Yeah?
But
that in a while.
sometimes you have to remind the people to do it.
Yeah.
When I was in charge of CID and all the officers, and we had some exceptional work done, they could be sure that I'm writing the commissioner for commendation.
Okay.
The crime situation, the murders, one of the things we can do is, I would say, crime prevention talks. We used to have a radio station that carried a crime prevention program for 2 hours, 2 nights per week.
Really?
We talked about crime prevention. Crime prevention, and particularly these people who have become targets. If you're a gang member, you're a target. You one gang fighting the other, you are a target. You may not think so, but you belong to the opposing gang. And it is not what you do, but it's who you belong to.
Wow.
And they're going to kill you.
Oh.
You see, the crime prevention is not, I don't think we're pushing it as hard as we used to. We had a show where Bishop Hewlin Hanna, he was a former assistant commissioner of police.
Yes, I remember.
And Bishop Hewlin Hanna, I got Deloitte and Touche, Sir Franklin Wilson, to sponsor the show. And they sponsored the show on the radio station, and we used to go on and talk crime prevention. We have the police, there are certain crimes that are being committed, many of them that could be prevented, that would give the police more time to work on the more serious crimes.
Solving those. All right, we got to go to the news in a second, but I just want to ask you, this is along the same lines of crime prevention. So you're talking about a lot of the things we need to do after the fact, but what can we do before? Do you have any views on that? Why we have so many people who are attracted to this life of crime? Well, what can we do to steer people away from that?
Well, as a police officer, and all my years, my training was policing.
Yeah.
And I never really looked at that side. I looked at enforcement.
Right.
My belief, and my mentor was J. Edgar Hoover, the founder of the FBI. My belief is quick response, swift justice, appropriate punishment. That is what I believe is one of the preventative measures for crime. For example, capital punishment. How many people wouldn't kill because they know that their life would be taken? You see, and this is where Mr. Hoover built his FBI on.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Powerful stuff. We're talking with Paul Thompson Sr. We're going to pick this up on the other side of the news. And then we'll get into Junkanoo later as well. He has some very interesting views on Junkanoo. This is a great conversation so far. Stay with us. This is Morning Blend. We'll pick it up in business in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Man Business on this Friday, January 13th, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Stephen Hanna and our special guest this morning, former Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Thompson Sr. We're having fantastic conversations with him about crime, and a little bit later we're going to get into Junkanoo. All right, so I don't know, we can't talk about what we were talking about off air, but I wanted to ask you, if you think, and we know this how it used to be different, that part of the challenge we're facing with fighting crime in the country is that the country is too small, that people are related to everybody, and that we do need outside help maybe to do what we did back in the earlier days when we did exchanges with other countries.
We need that.
We need it.
A lot of what we did have been taken away from us. For example, in the old days, a CID officer sat with the prosecutor in the Supreme Court in selecting the jury. We looked at the jury, CID officers, the list, and we knew which accused might be a relative.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We knew which accused might be a member of the same club, which accused might be a Mason, for example, and which of the jurors are Masons.
Right.
And that is what the CID officer, seated with the prosecutor, that was his job. He would inform the prosecutor to challenge.
Yeah.
For example, Somilo Butler. Oh man, we always wanted Somilo Butler on the jury if it's a house break-in, shop break-in, and particularly if it's pre-deal larceny.
Because he's a
But for murder, from the time they call his name, we used to challenge because he didn't believe in capital punishment.
Oh, wow.
We knew that.
Yeah.
And he said it. So when I say Milo Butler, challenge. You see? Now, this is something that was taken away, I understand, that we don't have that anymore. The other thing, Kendall Isaacs, when he came back from England, he was Solicitor General, and one of the things he had introduced was a pre-trial conference where he got the police in, the witnesses in the case, and we went over the evidence. He would read your statement to you and see if you still agree with what you said there and so on, before going to court. I understand that was stopped. But mind you, the defense attorneys could do it. Defense attorneys have their witnesses in their office and they could talk to them. The prosecutor, I understand now, cannot have these pre-trial conferences.
Why? What do they think that is? Witness
I don't
tampering
know,
or something?
Somebody stopped it. So it's just not. I asked about it and they told me it don't happen anymore. The accused person in court has the advantage all the time. You see, and take for example, we have had complaints of. Let's talk about police brutality. In the people complain about the statements they make to the police, the admissions, confessions, are being taken after when being beaten. That have happened. That been going on for decades. I remember from the 52 I in CID, accused person complain. Nobody would believe us when we say, very few people believe us when we say, you're an attorney, a man comes to you to defend him, and he tell you, look, I made a statement, admitting this. The one way to get him off is to get that statement thrown out. To get that statement thrown out, you have to tell him to say that he was beaten. You see, and this happens.
But you don't.
Right,
so you're saying you don't think it happens at all?
No, I think it happens.
Okay.
But
you just think it happen as the rate.
not as much as being said, because I know of me. I never beat somebody.
So the question: do you then? How do you feel about like body cams and cameras and stuff? One being placed or used, not just during the interrogation, but like during all police and civilian interactions, but also that being available to. I mean, some of it being available to the public or persons outside of court.
It would help very much if the officers taking statements, particularly confessions, if there's a camera or what have you. Because when you reach court and they talk about beating, let me give you an incident. This is a case I always remember, and when I speak to police officers, I mention it. We had two brothers who were arrested for armed robbery. I was in charge of CID then, but I was at a political meeting, monitoring the meeting. And on the way to the office, I heard the call about the robbery. The two brothers, one happened to have been an ex-CID officer.
Wow.
And a good one, if he had stayed in the force.
My goodness.
Their father was a big, prominent. He wasn't in politics to say running for office, but he was a big
behind the scenes
supporter of the PLP and Sir Lyndon. So the two brothers, a police car gave chase and they arrested them. But the evidence, the people in the drugstore where they robbed could not identify them. And the evidence wasn't there. Apparently they had time to go home and change and all this type of thing. When they were seen with the car, you see, the police stopped the car because they identified the car. When I got involved, we went to the home, and they were stupid because the mask they were wearing and the gloves were thrown in the garbage bin.
Oh boy!
So when we went to the home and we searched the home, we didn't find anything in the house. When we were coming out, I tell the guys, I say, look, check the garbage bin. We checked the garbage bin and we found this stuff. In the office, they were denying everything. Finally, they admitted because they were, well, not really tricked, but what we used was a strategy. I would come to you and say, well, that the fellow they're talking, man.
Oh, okay.
You see? Then I'll come to him and say, you talking.
Oh, so you all do the things we see in movies and TV shows.
So you find that we got them
to
speak. But I knew the father. And it was a Friday. It was a Friday. The Monday, they went to court. And they were charged with the armed robbery and so on. And I called the prison and asked the prison doctor, who I knew well. I said, you have two young men coming there. I want you to examine them physically. I said, and hear what they have to say about CID, any brutality in CID. So the doctor knew what I was driving at. And when they got up there, he examined them. The very next morning, I got a call from the commissioner, H.L. Thompson. And he called me, he said, boy, we're in trouble. I said, what trouble? He said, those two boys went up for the armed robbery. He said the Prime Minister called and he's very annoyed because the boys' father said they were brutalized by you all in criminal investigation. Oh, boy. So I told the commissioner, I said, sir, this is the number for the doctor at the prison. Call him. He called him, and he was able to call the Prime Minister, and Sir Lyndon apologized.
Wow.
Yes, that's right. The father went and told Sir Lyndon that his sons were beaten. Now, we had a case too in Cat Island, a murder case I went on. And a woman was killed, but the guy killed the wrong woman. He went to kill his wife, a strange wife. But in the kitchen, outdoor kitchen, the wife's mother was cooking. And she was sitting, it was dark, and she was sitting wearing the wife's hat.
Oh, gosh.
He went there with his shotgun. It was a double-barrel 12-gauge.
Wow.
And blew her head off. I went up there, and we got little bits and pieces that led us to him. And when we picked him up, knew nothing about it. We took him to the school, and we were questioning him in the school. People outside in the windows looking in. The headmaster in the school. Headmaster bring water for him to drink. When he realized that he had killed the wrong woman, he started crying because apparently the wife's mother was very friendly to him.
Oh, my goodness.
And he admitted. But when it reached the Supreme Court, the lawyer, man, say we beat the man. People from Cat Island wrote a petition, wrote a letter to the prosecutor, LAWO, and volunteered to come in and give evidence.
Wow.
But he wouldn't have them. And the jurors apparently believe we beat the man, and they let him go.
So,
you see?
Cameras would be helpful today.
When you sometimes you hear about police brutality, it is a defense that lawyers must. The man come to you to defend him and he has admitted, you have to try and get that statement thrown out. And it is either true, it has to be police brutality that threw the statement out.
So let's talk about the way that people say that officers interact with them. They speak to them harshly, rough them up, but maybe not brutality, but you're just being so aggressive. Why are you talking to me like this?
I was in the police college. You see, some people talk about no training. And even the media quite often say no training. They have never gone there to the college. We have people at the college with degrees in education, that are teaching. And after I left the force, I spent, I think, a year up there as force training officer. And I can tell you that the training on how you deal with people is most important. I lecture to officers and I say, if you stop a car for running the red light, there's no need to be rude. It's either you're going to warn the person or you're going to report. If you're going to report, take the ticket book out, ask the name, ask the driver's license, do it politely. There's no need. The person may be arguing and so on. You don't have to respond at all. Just write. Another area that we catch a lot of hell on is the police shootings. Oh man, every time there's a police shooting, front page, and the human rights people start raising hell. Shoot him in his leg, shoot him in his arm, shoot the gun out his hand.
Right.
That's what you hear.
Yeah.
And it is
you don't have to kill.
always-
You don't have to kill them. Why kill
No,
them?
it is always the police being lambasted because of a police shooting. But my school of thought, and I've written up this, I wrote in Trinidad, I wrote an article in the press there. And where I was living, I don't know how they get my number, but police officers were calling me every day, thanking me. Police shoot to live, not to kill. Because my point is...
For them to live.
You tell the man, drop the gun. The man turns with the gun in his hand. What you have to think? You start thinking, I have children, I have a wife, I have my life. What am I to do? Those thoughts come through your mind in seconds because you don't know what he is going to do. But judging on what happens with these criminals with guns, shooting innocent people unarmed, what are you to think?
Speaking about police-involved shootings, I know that inside the news today, there's concern about the coroner's court where they say they don't have a marshal available for so that they could carry out, I guess, investigations or look into deaths that involve police shooting.
Well,
how do you feel about, I guess, one, internal policing and then the need for a marshal? Well,
no, I recommended, and I recommend these things. Sometimes I get a reply, sometimes I don't. We have a police service commission with some very reputable people who are experienced. We have, I think, 2 former commissioners on it, and you have reputable people. You see? If there is doubt about a police shooting, who would be the best people to investigate it? You have the experience right there. The experience and the integrity there. Ask them to look into it. We have a police complaints unit, but they say it's police. Now, I know in the Trinidad Police Force, they have a police complaints unit. It's headed by a lawyer. She's paid to deal with complaints, and she has staff who are former police officers who conduct investigations. So that is a side to it. But very often you will find that the officers who shoot, they shoot because of fear for their lives. When you tell the fella to drop that gun and he doesn't drop it and he turns to face you with the gun in hand, you start thinking, my children, my wife, my life. That's your thoughts. The people who complain and who criticize the police have never yet faced a firearm pointed at them. You see? So I support the police to this. I say policemen shoot to live.
Yeah. Well, and you have to wonder what's going through these young folks who are. Why would you do this? Why would you engage in a shootout with the police?
That's right.
But I want to go back to what I asked earlier about bringing in foreign officers.
I was going to ask, but also
Right.
like outside persons, even in the country, where persons who may not be on the police force to fill some of these roles, like you said, you said in Trinidad for their internal
affairs,
investigation.
The complaints unit in Trinidad is civilian.
Right. And so would that be something that you'd be open to in order to, I guess, for the general public. Because the general public, they're saying, how can the police police the police?
That would satisfy the general public. We should do it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think the Police Service Commission are people there who are respected. Take a man like Keith Mason, right? Keith Mason could be on the Police Service Commission. Paul Farquharson, former commissioner. There's some other people I remember who could be on the Police Service Commission, and they would be ideal persons to look at investigations of police complaints, particularly where it comes to police shootings.
Yeah. What about foreign officers on the beat, in the uniform, as you said earlier? Do you think we need to revisit that? You gave some examples as to...
There was a time when we needed foreign officers. I don't think that would happen again because young men now are joining in the police force. The thing is, we have to try to motivate them into the responsibilities of the job and give them the challenge to what it is like to be a policeman. As I said, there's no need to be rude. You know, when I hear of a policeman being rude, it bothers me. What's the need to be rude? You see, I could see if the person is attacking you, you have to defend yourself.
Right.
But to be rude and shows any kind of ill feeling towards the person you're going to speak to, and even though the person may be not nice to you, you see, you can remain quiet and just do your job.
Yeah. Earlier you mentioned your first murder scene, tears came to your eyes. Is there counseling for officers dealing with this every day, it seems, going to murder scenes and seeing brutality, unspeakable brutality? Is there counseling?
I am, I don't know, I don't know if they have it, but they need it.
Yeah. Did you ever need it? Did you ever pursue it? Did you ever talk to anybody?
We talk to each other. We leave the scene of crime, and what motivated us then was to catch the damn fella who did it.
Yeah.
You see, so you forget that and you're going after him. You're trying to get the evidence so you could make the arrest. You know, that was very important, and there've been a lot. And one of the things that I would tell you is that during my period in the force, most all of the political investigations, they had is two words that the senior officers used to say: "Send Paul."
Why do you think that?
Anytime I hear of some political thing, like, for example, we had a MP arrested for fraud in Bahamas Broadcasting, St. Paul. We had an MP arrested for fraud at an IB, St. Paul. These were cases I was involved in. We had a UBP bigwig. We were investigating voting bribery, election bribery, St. Paul.
Yeah.
And in all these cases, I got results. People were charged. Even there was a man who, an MP, who tried to bribe a magistrate with $10,000. Now, they didn't say St. Paul, but they said, Paul, you pick the men to wait. We had two men waiting for him when he came to the magistrate office to hand the magistrate the money.
Wow.
They were in another room, and they listened to him when he talked. It turned out that he was given $20,000 by the drug dealer. They wanted the magistrate to throw out the case against him, but he was giving her $10,000.
An MP.
Yeah, and she talked. He went to jail. He went to jail.
What year was this?
It was many years ago. I don't want to call it
That'd have been several decades back.
But it was many years ago, and
because people act like they think like this couldn't happen anymore.
He was an MP, and they waited, and when he finished talking to the police came out and arrested him, the officers. My only involvement in that was I selected the two constables to go and listen and make the arrest.
Why do you think they said send Paul? Why do you think they said send Paul? Why?
Well, I think they knew that from the start that I would be fair. And I wasn't involved in politics. I was in the early years, I was a Pinlin fanatic. Many of us who came from Trinidad were Pinlin fanatics.
Why is that?
Because what we met here was racial discrimination. And we knew that he would knock it down. I was a big supporter of Sir Etienne Depuch. I read all his articles. In fact, he taught me I learned to write from him. And I've written 3 books. One, Basic Training for Security Officers. The second one was a policeman's story. And the third one is what is on sale now, actually. It's Policing the Bahamas Policing in the Bahamas, 1951 and beyond.
Okay, wonderful.
I wrote these books. And the police service over the years, it has grown. And what I have is a history of it in this book, how we have grown, how well we have done. And I would like, before I forget, to ask the Bahamian public to give Mr. Fernandez some support.
Current Commissioner Clayton Fernandez.
Give him support. Because he's a man of integrity, he's dedicated, and he was an excellent investigator, you see. And with the support of his executive staff, people like Deliveau and Greenslade and those fellas they have up there, he should be able to turn this thing around. And I'm hoping that this is the year when it will be done.
Wow. All right, we got to take a break. I don't know if we might have to have you come back to talk about the Junkanoo thing.
I would come anytime.
Yeah? Okay. All right. So let's take a break because these stories are fascinating. And people are saying that as well. So we want to talk a little more about policing and the crime issue. And then we'll work on another time for you to come back to talk about Junkanoo. All right. So we are talking with Paul Thompson Sr. This is Morning Blend into Morning Blend Business. We're going to take a break and be back. Stay with us.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Do all of your banking with Fidelity. Quality service is what they give to you and me. A strong management team is waiting to serve you. Come and bank with Fidelity too. Come do all of your banking with Fidelity. Quality service is what they give to you and me. A strong management team is waiting to serve you. So bank with Fidelity, we're good for you.
Sarah, how are you doing?
Okay.
Are you sure? I noticed you've been down lately.
Yeah, sometimes I don't know. I can't really put into words how I'm feeling, but I know I don't feel like myself sometimes. There's just so much going on in my life. School, friends, sports. Sometimes I worry about different things and feel stressed.
I'm glad you're talking to me. And it's okay to talk about your feeling. It's normal to feel changes depending upon what's going on around you.
Yeah?
Of course. All of us should be concerned with our mental health and our well-being. Good mental health means that we can cope with our everyday stresses. You can talk to me anytime when you feel like it.
Okay. Reaching out these Strachan talks more often and take things from there.
Message is brought to you by PAHO WHO and the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Fidelity is concerned about your financial health as much as we're concerned about your physical health. We have free online banking, helpful management staff. Come and start your relationship today. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
It is time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Acting Comptroller of the Department of Inland Revenue, Chandra Strachan, warning that the government would garnish wages of those who have been delinquent in paying their taxes. She did that last year. And yesterday, while DIR did not garnish any wages between then and now, she said, quote, garnishing is coming. Strachan, who made a presentation to the media during the Office of the Prime Minister's weekly press briefing yesterday, specifically mentioned garnishing the income of landlords who are delinquent in paying their real property tax, but who still collect rental income. She said the government has the right to ask the tenant to stop paying rent to the landlord and direct those payments to the Department of Inland Revenue. While there's been a concern that DIR would withhold the rent renewal of business licenses of landlords, tenants in the landlords, if the landlords do not become compliant with the taxes, Strachan said that the tenant businesses would not be penalized for the actions of the landlords as long as they comply in assisting DIR with information on landlords. Meanwhile, saying that she does not believe the vast majority of registered businesses earn less than $100,000 per year, Acting Comptroller Strachan appealing to business owners to be truthful about their yields. She said the department will be scrutinizing business turnover more deeply this year, given that the roughly 50,000 businesses registered last year, only about 9,000 have reported a turnover of $100,000 or more. Customs Controller Ralph Monroe revealing that there is a problem with the selling of liquor brands that have not been authorized by the local distributors of these brands. Monroe, speaking yesterday at the press briefing, saying that those brands are either being brought in illegally, but through legitimate shipping channels, or are being smuggled in. He added that some of the local distributors have suggested that some of the liquor in the market could be counterfeit. The controller warning those who are in breach of the law to stop their illicit activity, as Customs will be pursuing the legal trade vigorously. And the developers of the $175 million Torchkey project, PMR Bahamas Realty Limited and Torchkey Development Limited, with the signing of a heads of agreement with the government yesterday, they've been given the green light to begin their multi-year construction of what they hope will be the residential and touristic envy of the Exumas. Located just off Little Exuma, the Torchkey project is expected to boast an 18-hole golf course with oceanside greens, an environmental research facility, an organic farm, a marina, and an accompanying village and a beach, club, and spa. Principal developer Jay Penske, speaking during the signing of a heads agreement, saying the project will also include a solar array with battery storage to power the island. Read more on this story in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, the stiffest penalty Donald Trump's company could receive when it is sentenced today by a New York judge for helping its executives dodge taxes is a $1.6 million fine. Not even enough to buy a Trump Tower apartment. Neither the former president nor his children, who helped run and promote the Trump Organization, are expected to be in the courtroom for the sentencing hearing. The company will be presented or represented by its lawyers. Because the Trump Organization is a corporation and not a person, a fine is the only way a judge can punish the company after its conviction last month for 17 tax crimes, including charges of conspiracy and falsifying business records. By law, the maximum penalty that can be imposed by the judge is around $1.6 million, as we said, an amount equal to double the taxes a small group of executives avoided on benefits, including rent-free apartments in Trump buildings, luxury cars, and private school tuition. Trump himself was not on trial and denied any knowledge of his executives evading taxes illegally. And in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Thursday, your market movers, Commonwealth Bank moving 14,000 shares, closing unchanged at 358. J.S. Johnson moving 1,000, closing unchanged at 1576. Consolidated Water unchanged at 293. Emira Incorporated unchanged at 961. The BISX All-Share Index closing at 2,645.64, unchanged. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And we are back here with Morning Blend Business, a special edition of the show today. Dwight, Strachan, and Stephen Hanna. We are talking with former Assistant Commissioner of Police, Paul Thompson Sr., having a great conversation about policing and crime in the country. And we were going to talk about Junkanoo too. He has some interesting views on that, but we're going to get to that on another show. We'll have Mr. Thompson come back, and we'll do a whole show on that one. That one is very interesting as well. But fascinating discussion about crime and policing in the country.
I was going to ask because you were policing. You were on the police force from the 50s.
I was on the police force from 51 to 81.
All right. So do you remember who the first Bahamian Commissioner of Police was, or
Sir H.L. Thompson? Mind you, we had an acting commissioner before Sir H.L. Thompson, and that was Major Edward Sears.
Right.
Very good man. When I arrived here, he was then acting commissioner, but he never got the confirmation.
Did it when you guys got the first official Bahamian Commissioner of Police, was there a different feeling?
Well, yeah, we were all very happy. We thought it should happen long before that. Wenzel Granger, you had Wenzel Granger, you had Augustus Roberts, and both of them were very good officers who were Bahamians. But the then government were bringing in English officers all the time. Mind you, they brought a man in 56 who I think is responsible for where the force is today. That was Colchester Wims. He started the rejuvenation of the police force. When he came, we only had 200 men. We were riding bicycles and walking the beats. We did not have a control room. We didn't have any hand radios. We did not have policewomen. He introduced all of that. And then other commissioners who came took that and ran with it. And we moved, especially Paul Farquharson, who did a magnificent job in building the force, police stations and things like that.
What do you think is because I mean, a lot of persons are always saying, you're hearing that the police are overwhelmed, and that makes me feel like that's a manpower issue. And I don't know if being a police officer is as attractive as it once was. What, in your mind, could be done to make it more attractive for persons, or even to recruit the right type of person to the police force?
Yeah, I think if you're going to join the police force, the first thing is you shouldn't be looking to it as a job. Look at it as a career. You want to make it as a career. And those people who really made the top took it as a career. So Albert Miller, he should have been commissioner of police before Sir Legiel Thompson. But politics. You had a bunch of young people who came into the force, and they did very well. The fellow in charge of security at Paradise Island, Douglas Hanna, he came in a very young officer, came to CID, and that's where he really showed that he was interested in being a policeman. And what helped too, a lot, in those days, we got these overseas courses where you went overseas for training and you meet police officers, and it really got you to understand the importance of your job. So it is not somewhere you go for a job. You want a career. It's like teaching. You go to be a teacher in the Ministry of Education. You go in, it's not the money.
Yeah, but part of the problem with that as well is that for many years they've been telling teachers, okay, it's a calling, it's a career.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you need to be able to eat.
To eat, right.
Right, and so, I mean, I don't know necessarily what the pay scale is with the police force, but I know that inflation being the rampant, horrible thing that it is, do you think that that is also a part of the issue where the force might be losing persons to the private sector, where they're saying, I like the job, but I don't necessarily either.
You're not getting the money.
Right.
That's part of it. But it's a complaint of all police forces. You go down to Trinidad now, they tell you the same thing. We ain't making the money. The work is there for us to do. When I joined the force, we only getting £2.10 per week.
Wow.
And a hot dog was 4 shillings. You see, we had out of that £2.10, I think we paid...
How many shillings in a pound?
20 shillings.
Okay.
My goodness.
But it was grossly underpaid. We got, at the end of the month, you got £15. You got £2.10 each per week, and then you got £15 at the end of the month, which was put in the bank for you. Yeah. But we stuck with it, and when Colchester Wims came, and the UBP saw the importance of a good police force, he was able to get them to raise salaries, increase the numbers. At one time, the police in the Bahamas was so popular that anywhere Stafford Sands went, he would take the police band with him. In addition to that, you ask any old people who used to go to Miami, the big billboards. You see the policeman there in uniform with the spike and chain on the billboards, advertising the Bahamas.
Isn't that something? Wow.
That's right.
So let me ask you, when did things change? When you noticed the violence was creeping up and the murders? Everyone says it was the 70s, but when
in the late 70s, mid-late 70s, we observed it started off with the sawed-off shotgun.
Oh boy.
And then they had the homemade shotgun. And it kept on moving up. I don't know, but I think that we should have done more, particularly through the courts. The courts should be doing more. I recommended, some years ago, I wrote, and I keep talking about it, that we have a prison system where you have your maximum security prison. We have a lot of islands. Island. Them farm, they don't know where to escape. You put them on an island.
Yeah.
This prison, use it for what I saw in England. They call it, I can't remember what they call it now, but anyways, a prison I went to in Scotland and in England, where when you go in there, you wouldn't think it's a prison.
It's like reform, like minimum security.
Oh, yeah, man.
There's people who...
They teach you, when you're coming out, while you're there, you're learning trade.
Yeah.
Body work, mechanic, carpentry. The prison maintains the public service buildings. You ain't call no contractor to paint no building. The prison doing it.
Yeah, boy.
Save
a lot of money.
You know that you ever went to the Paul Farquharson Center, Convention Center in the police barracks?
It's been a while for me. But
You been there?
Yeah.
You know who built that?
Was it prisoners?
Prisoners.
Yeah.
Prisoners.
Well, then we have a
They
model.
had a man up there who was a builder. And they talked to him and got him to do it.
Yeah.
And he got prisoners, and they put up that building.
Wow. Got this text here. Someone's saying, what do you think about tasers? Should the police have tasers? Do they need to use
A
them
long time ago, I recommended tasers as opposed to deadly force.
Right.
I don't think every police officer should be carrying a firearm. Well, now you expect everyone because the criminals got all them firearms. But I think tasers are important because you get a young officer who has to face a man who is towering over him in size and all this kind of thing, but he have to make the arrest. And that fella gonna beat him to a pulp.
We've seen it. We've seen videos like that.
That button don't mean a thing.
Yeah.
You see?
All right, we're running out of time. People are asking about your books. We want to find these books. Where can we get them?
Now, the first book you could get from me, and the security firms usually call me when they want them. That's basic training for security officers. It starts from when you join, how you dress, what you wear, how you speak to people, your personal hygiene, and all that. And it goes on all the way to your powers of arrest, your taking statements, conducting inquiries, and all that. It's there, and
they're required to read this in police college, right?
Well, my writing of that book comes from the police college. The experiences there, because it is similar to what they teach at the police college.
Okay, all right, good.
The second book was written after I left the force. I went to Trinidad for a 2-month vacation before I started working again. And I decided to write the book, A Policeman's Story. A Policeman's Story is about cases I was involved in.
That should be amazing.
You see, murders and all that type of thing. Even a shooting with me where a man was killed.
Wow.
and all that type. It was right on a policeman's story.
And where can we find that one?
And people enjoyed that book.
Yeah.
And this one really is a training. I am hoping that the government will decide to buy this book for the police.
Okay.
Because it's compiled from my knowledge and experience. And the training that I had and parts of what I received, documents I received during training, put in this book so that it could it would help police officers.
All right.
So plus, there's a huge amount of information on crime prevention that would be of help to the public.
Excellent. All right, so a policeman's story, is that in print? Is that available in stores? Do you know? Where can we get it?
This it's been printed in the United States now. It was printed in
That's
Trinidad
a new one you're talking
at
about.
first.
Yeah. But the second one.
But the second edition is being printed in the United States. I expect it the end of this month or the first weekend next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Paul Thompson Sr., thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to have you back very soon. We're going to get into Junkanoo because you have a lot to say. And we want people to hear that. It's going to be a great discussion. So we'll work out a date for that one. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
I would like to congratulate the Royal Bahamas Police Force on the work they're doing.
Yes. And we salute you for the work that you've done. And many people saying that as well, that you need to be... We need to let you know how much we appreciate you.
I listen to your show every morning.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
And Rodney Moncos.
Oh, dear. Oh, well. Okay. Anyway, thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend.
Okay,
We'll talk again soon.
All right.
Stephen, thank you. See you next week. I'll be back on Monday with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business right here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Where's the lady?
Oh.